So we are in our week 5. So that means we have one more week after this. So that's the best thing to think about. However, we are starting a new unit. So we're in unit 2 this time. And we're going to be looking at electricity and electric and magnetic forces. So we are covering 2 chapters this week and 2 chapters next week. So we're going to go through them pretty fast. The fortunate thing is we don't have to get real deep with electricity. We're not going to get into a lot of the formulas. We're just going to touch on them and move forward. But I'm going to tell you right now, you cannot pass the tests unless you do the background work. I am, however, going to give you an option that you do not have to take the test if you do the labs. So I want to show you the labs and see your options. So if you do all the labs for this week, then you do not have to take the test, okay? But you're gonna still want to prepare by reading the stuff even before you do the labs. Okay, so I made the Zoom really big. And everybody can see this page, right? Shake your heads so I know that you can see the page. Okay, good. All right, so because you're doing 2 chapters at once, you only need to read one type. So here's your reading pages. You have 96 to 106. This is just for magnets, okay? So you only have to read one thing. You can read this, or you can do these 2 articles, or here's a video. And I think this is from Khan Academy. So it's a really good video that takes you through everything from the book. Okay, your option for labs are here. You have some virtual labs that you can do. If you're doing these for your labs this week that you choose to do instead of the test, you're gonna have to still at least turn in the test and say, I did the virtual lab, so that I know that you did that instead, and maybe show me the score or whatever you got on those. Legends of Learning is what we did way back with Energy. It's a lot of fun, little games and stuff that you can play. Exploring Learning is the same kind of idea. But here is the floating paperclip, and I actually have a quick little video for you up here where it's showing you how to make a floating paperclip. So there's my floating paperclip. Amazing! And I want you to try to do the same and figure out how it's floating and see if you can figure out how to make one of your own, okay? So there's the floating paperclip, and that is the only video there for a hands-on lab. However, you can make your own magnet and show me a video of how you're using that magnet and talking about north and south and all the forces around the magnet. You can make a temporary magnet of your own and show me that too. So playing with magnets is kind of the only one here. Remember those neodymium magnets that we have in the classroom that are so strong, like if you put your finger between them, it's not gonna be a good thing. You'll probably crush some bones. So obviously I didn't bring those home, but do what you want with this. I know Aaron and probably some of you other ones have maybe this magnetic putty. Oh, you can't see me right now. I'll show it to you at the end. The magnetic putty, which is another thing that you can talk about and show some different things with. Okay, so that's the first half of the week. The second half, you're looking at electricity. So again, you have pages to read, or you have your videos that you can watch that deal with electricity. And remember, we're getting into just the basics of electricity. So it's kind of hard to find stuff that's just getting into the topic of force electricity. However, this has to do with static. So I wish we got to do the Van de Graaff machine, but we are not going to be able to here. This was always fun to actually get to shock some kids. I would have picked people like, I don't know, Nathan or Clayton or Daniel to come up and be able to shock them with the Van de Graaff was one of my favorite things to do. But here are your labs. Oh, you too, whoever said that. Oh, is that Kale?
No, why would you shock me?
Oh, who is this? Who's talking?
Nathan.
Nathan. Just because it would be fun to watch your face. Nathan, it'd be so much fun.
I wouldn't.
I'm fine with getting shocked. I've been shocked before.
This is your virtual labs. Again, you have the PhET site, which shows the static electricity using a balloon. So you have that. But again, I gave you some options of things to do with static electricity. And this first link right here, ooh, I'll try to make it live. That's not live, is actually me talking about static electricity and a balloon. So it will explain the whole polarization part. But each one of these labs are so great. First of all, who doesn't love to play with balloons? I mean, come on. It is so much fun to do the balloon charging. So you get to like play with the balloon, and the coolest thing is you can make a pop can move. So that's what my video is talking about how that pop can moves and how you're doing it with the static electricity with induction. So here's your two words, conduction and induction. Again, here's a lab for that. It's gonna have you make a little electrolysis machine, which is so much fun, you guys. You actually get to take a comb and cause it to have static electricity. And then when you touch the little silver piece on your electrolysis machine, those little leaflets that you have hanging down there will pull apart. And it's the coolest thing to see. So I'm begging you to do this lab because we would have done it in class. So you can use like a plastic rod or a plastic comb. You can use wool or fur. I found a scarf in my closet that worked to actually get the static going. So you want to find something like that. You can use your hair. I don't think it's going to be strong enough because it's too wet out. You want it like a dry environment. So I even had trouble with getting my balloon static to work because it's so dry here. And then last but not least is potential difference, the charge from going from a positive to negative. But the best part is you get to watch, where is that? You get to watch Jurassic Park. So you're gonna watch a little part of Jurassic Park, the part where the kid is hanging onto the fence, the electric fence, and he flies off from all the electricity. So you're gonna talk about that and talk about being a human conductor, which again has to do with the Van de Graaff machine, but we have the shortened version of it. So you have all these different options to teach you about electricity and magnets, but here's your chance to have some fun. So do the labs. I know you're like, oh, I don't want to actually get off my buttocks and do something, but you will be so amazed. It's so cool. So if you choose not to do the labs this week, you still have the test, which won't be open until Friday because you have two different topics that you're learning about. But you always have that option. So you have multiple choice, true, false, maybe, I can't remember. I think there's a few true and false, and some major essays. So that is your option if you choose not to do the labs. But again, you do all the labs, you don't have to take the test, okay? So I'm gonna take this off of sharing and come back over to you real quick. So again, this is my little balloon friend that I actually used. And you know my little friend from the Crash Dummies that I used her head in the Crash Dummy video? She actually helped me charge this balloon up because my hair wasn't doing so well. But then I literally moved a can across the floor. So that first link, which I promise you I will make it hot so that you can get to it, is me actually describing how we're taking the positive and negative charges and building them up. And I think that's a really important concept to learn. So make sure at least to watch that video. If you're not even gonna do the lab, watch that video so you understand the polarization part. So this is where all of our atoms come from. You know, remember those little electrons are just zooming around on the outside, but they're easily able to take off. So when we have static electricity, that's a buildup of those electric charges. That's a buildup of electrons. So remember, those little atoms want to be stable. And so they're going to do what they need to do to be that way. So all electricity wants to get to the ground as quickly as possible. It will find the best way to get there. That's why a lot of times if you're touching something that causes that shock, that's because it's a fast way for electricity to get to the ground through you. Because what are you made of mostly? See that stuff behind me? Water, yes. You have water in you, so it's gonna go through you really fast. That's why, like, you know, boys, you're not supposed to pee on an electric fence, FYI. Don't do it, okay? Girls, I mean, that would be difficult, but you know what I'm saying. So don't touch electric, you know, wires when they're down. You know, when you put your hand in a light socket and you shock yourself, yeah. So that's exactly what's happening, is electricity is flowing through your body and trying to get to the ground. So that's it this week in a nutshell. We are very, very close to the end. This one, next Wednesday, will be our last Zoom for science. And then the following Wednesday, which is the 13th, we are going to Zoom with all your teachers and all of us to end with a celebration. And we're going to look at a really cool video that I'm going to put together of our whole year together. So I'm going to use some of your videos that y'all sent me. I'm going to use some of the clips from that. I'm just going to take screenshots so that we can put that in there too. And then we can have a fun little celebration. Those of you that got awards, I will get to you next week. I'm actually going to go to our other house in Garnett for the rest of this week, so I won't be back in town until probably Wednesday, but I'll get those out. And then if anyone else wins one, I will tell you the winners next week, and I'm sure there will be, because I have several people that I still need to read or look at. So I'm going to open it up now. I'm going to shut off the recording and open it up for anyone that has questions. And I apologize again for you not being able to get into the Zoom. I don't know why that didn't go live like it's supposed to. Must have been slow this morning, so apologize for that. Make sure if anyone asks any questions about what we talked about today to tell them to watch the Zoom, because I give you so much important information. So I'm going to shut this down.